Welcome to Audiobook 365 Stories.
It was not the time of year or the time of day when people usually came to the park. A young lady was sitting on a bench by the side of the path. She probably had a sudden idea to sit and enjoy a little bit of the coming spring. She sat there, quiet and thoughtful. There was a little sadness on her face, but it seemed new. It had not yet changed the soft, youthful shape of her cheeks or the confident, curved line of her lips. A tall young man walked quickly through the park on the path near her bench. A boy followed him, carrying a suitcase. When the young man saw the lady, his face turned red and then pale. He watched her face as he walked closer, feeling both hopeful and worried. He passed just a few steps from her, but she did not seem to notice him. About 50 steps ahead, the young man stopped suddenly and sat on a bench. The boy dropped the suitcase and stared at him with curious, smart eyes. The young man took out a handkerchief and wiped his forehead. The handkerchief was nice, his forehead was nice, and the young man himself looked handsome. He spoke to the boy. "I want you to give a message to that young lady on the bench. Tell her I am going to the train station. I am leaving for San Francisco, and from there, I will join a hunting trip in Alaska. Tell her that since she told me not to talk to her or write to her, this is my last way to speak to her. Ask her to be fair to me, for the sake of what we shared in the past. Tell her it is not fair to judge and leave someone like me without giving reasons or letting me explain. I don't think this is who she really is. Tell her that even though I am not following her rules, I hope she will decide to be fair. Go and tell her this." The young man gave the boy a silver coin. The boy looked at him with sharp, clever eyes on his dirty but smart face. Then he ran off to deliver the message. The boy walked up to the lady on the bench. He seemed a little unsure, but not shy. He touched the front of his old plaid bicycle cap. The lady looked at him calmly, not showing kindness or dislike. "Lady," the boy said, "the man on the other bench sent me with a message for you. If you don't know him and he's just bothering you, say the word, and I'll get a policeman in 3 minutes. But if you do know him and he's serious, I'll tell you what he wants to say." The young lady showed a small sign of interest. "A message," she said in a calm and sweet voice that sounded a little playful and teasing. "That's new. Like something a troubadour would do, I guess. I used to know the man who sent you, so I don't think we need to call the police. You can tell me the message, but don't shout too loudly. It's still a bit early for outdoor shows, and we don't want to draw a crowd." "Ah," said the boy, shrugging his shoulders, "you know what I mean, lady. It's not a performance, it's just words. He told me to say he's got his clothes in that suitcase because he's going to San Francisco. Then he's going to Alaska to hunt birds in the snow. He said you told him not to send letters or stand outside your house anymore, so he's trying this instead. He said you treated him like he was nothing and didn't even give him a chance to explain. He said you left him without telling him why. The lady's small interest stayed in her eyes. Maybe it was because the man had found such a clever and bold way to send her a message, even though she had told him not to. She looked at a statue standing sadly in the messy park and spoke calmly to the boy. Tell the gentleman I don't need to explain my beliefs to him. He already knows them. He knows I value loyalty and truth more than anything else. Tell him I have thought about my own feelings very carefully. I know my weaknesses and what I need. That is why I will not listen to his pleas. I did not judge him based on gossip or unsure evidence, which is why I did not accuse him of anything. But since he insists on hearing it again, you can tell him. Tell him I went into the greenhouse that evening from the back to pick a rose for my mother. Tell him I saw him with Miss Ashburton under the pink oleander. It was a pretty picture, but their actions and closeness were too clear to need an explanation. I left the greenhouse, and with it, I left the rose and my ideals. You can take that message to him. The boy hesitated. I don't know one word, lady. Jux, can you explain that to me? Juxtaposition, she said. It means being very close together. Or, if you like, being too close for someone who is supposed to be loyal. The boy ran back quickly, the gravel flying under his feet. He stopped in front of the other bench. The man looked at him eagerly, his eyes full of questions. The boy's eyes were bright, ready to deliver the message. The lady says she knows that girls can be easy to fool when a guy tells them sad stories and tries to fix things. That's why she won't listen to any smooth talk. She says she caught you for sure, hugging another girl in the greenhouse. She walked in to pick some flowers and saw you holding the other girl. She says it looked nice, but it made her feel sick. She says you should hurry and catch your train. The young man let out a low whistle. Suddenly, a thought came to him. He reached into the inside pocket of his coat and pulled out a bunch of letters. He chose one and handed it to the boy, along with a shiny silver dollar. Take this letter to the lady, he said, and ask her to read it. Tell her it will explain everything. Tell her that if she had trusted me just a little more, all this sadness could have been avoided. Tell her the loyalty she values so much has always been there. Tell her I am waiting for her answer. The boy stood in front of the lady again. The man says he's been treated unfairly. He says he's a good guy, not a bad one. Lady, you should read this letter. I bet he's telling the truth. The young lady looked at the letter with some doubt, but opened it and read, Dear Dr. Arnold, I want to thank you for your kind and quick help with my daughter last Friday evening when she had an attack of her heart condition in the greenhouse at Mrs. Waldron's reception. If you had not been there to catch her when she fell and give her the right care, we might have lost her. I would be happy if you could visit and take over her treatment. Gratefully yours, Robert Ashburton. The young lady folded the letter and gave it back to the boy. The man is waiting for an answer, the boy said. What should I tell him? The lady's eyes lit up, bright and smiling, with tears in them. Tell that man on the other bench, she said with a happy laugh, that his girl wants him.